Welcome to another episode of Wealth Beyond Numbers. I'm your host, Dennis Corl, and we continue here with our special guest, Lina Ustundag from Lina Ustundag CPA. Thank you for being here. And today I want to talk about what drives Lina crazy in her profession. I mean, in our industry, Lina, as you know, there's so many variables. There's so much change going on nowadays that happens almost by the day. And there are things that obviously, as you know, drives us crazy in our profession. I can tell you from experience, we had Jonathan here a few weeks ago, and he was telling me one of the things that drives me crazy is that clients wait till April 14 or April 15 to make their retirement contributions. And although we accomplish that for clients, we just don't want to be running until the last minute because it creates a lot of stress, and it's not something that you want as much as you can. You want to avoid that. But there's other things that drives us crazy. For example, I can tell you, clients, sometimes you give them an advice and they go against the advice that you give them. I help clients create budgets and make them run it so that they can understand as they retire how much income they can live off, whether it's their investments, their portfolio, their pension, their Social Security, and we have it all organized and laid out. And then they don't follow that advice, and then it hinders in their success. So I'm sure you have stories, and I don't know if you want to share a couple of things that drive you crazy in your profession.
Certainly, like in any profession, exactly what you said. When we come up with a plan, and sometimes we have a little bit of leniency on how it is executed. Sometimes we don't have as much leniency. We have deadlines and we have forms that need to be done a certain way by a certain time with certain information, and they don't get done. And it's not our fault. Maybe the client didn't get the information, or they are not responsive, or the information that comes in is not exactly what we needed. So that makes it very difficult. When we ask 5 questions from a client and we get only answers for 3, and then we have to chase back on the other 2 for months and months and months. So that's definitely a frustration when we don't get the information that we need timely. The last minute filers, I think it's sort of inevitable. We do have some procedures in our office to manage that, and we encourage clients to, of course, try to start the process as early as possible to avoid that last minute rush, because it's not fair for our team either to try to crunch very last minute. And when you're rushing, you are more likely to miss something. So I really don't like working like that, rushing. But of course, we accommodate as much as we can. So timeliness is important. When our clients commingle, for sure, it's difficult to, when they're not organized in general, it's very difficult. When we get documents that are not labeled, they don't have headings. When I get unbalanced balance sheets, I love this one. Please do my tax return. I need it for my financing next week. And then you get the reports and they don't balance. You can't even work. They're not reconciled. You can't use an unreconciled report. Just when the basics are not met. And maybe clients try to cut corners and they don't realize that some of those corners they're not really yielding savings. They're going to cost more later to try to solve them, fix them, bring them to compliance. So those are definitely little pet peeves of mine.
Last week, I was talking to a client that wanted to take money from his retirement account, and he didn't realize that if he would have done that, he would have had to pay income taxes on taking an early distribution from his IRA, and he wanted to take somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000, and he thought, I just need it to pay for my daughter's schooling. And after having a conversation, I said, do you realize that this would create a taxable event? And he didn't realize that, and he even checked on Google and checked with his accountant. He's not working with you, unfortunately. I'm hoping that maybe he gets a second opinion. And then he came back 2 days later saying, Dennis, you know what, you were right. I didn't realize that. And he has a business, so he can accomplish the same thing through different vehicles and maybe borrowing in a different way where it could be more tax efficient for him.
Yes, impulse is an issue. So when you act before you do a consultation or you do due diligence. That is certainly an issue, and especially in finances, people are like, should I invest? No, I'm not an investor. I'm not a wealth manager. Please talk to the experts that will tell you what to do, how to do it properly. That's staying in your lane is definitely one of those other people expect you to do everything. People expect you to be their attorney and their psychologist, and we try, but we can't. So
I would imagine so. Yeah, I think that when you're dealing with money and finances, there's also the emotional aspect. The emotions run deep, and especially because this is the baby that you build your business, and this is all the money and the wealth that you created. So the stress level can go from 0 to 10 really quickly.
Correct. And we know so much about our clients, delicate information that maybe nobody else knows. So we are very, very delicate on how we handle that information. And that definitely, you have to work with somebody that you trust, because you do have to be able to be honest and open about all of your assets, all of your income, all of your expenses. Whether your spouse knows about them or not, or your child knows about them or not, or you have to disclose them to us so we can do our job properly.
That's right. And that's so important, that transparency, it's important. And I think that's one of the big problems that we also have in our practice, that when clients are not as transparent, showing us all their finances, it handcuffs us almost to a point where we can provide only so much help. Yes, and I'm sure you've had that experience.
Correct, and that's why it's nice to work together, because you have a more global view of their wealth, their investments. We know the income side of it, but we may not know necessarily as much as you do. So we have other areas that maybe you don't see. So when we work together, we do have a more comprehensive view of our clients.
Yes. Something that always frustrates me is that when clients sometimes keep so much money in cash, they think they need it for reserves. But over the last 5 years, the average CD rate now it's less than 3%, less than the rate of inflation. When the S&P 500 over the last 3 years has averaged over 30% over the last 3 years. So people leave money on the table by not working with someone that can help them make their money work for them. And 3 weeks ago, I came across someone that was living off their money that they were in cash, but they were not covering the interest that they were using from their investments. So they are, in essence, depleting their own money. So we help them set up a structure so that they can now change from living off their own money to now living off the interest that their portfolio can provide, and they're in a much better place. But it was frustrating because you had to kind of show them little by little why it was important for you to make your money work. And especially when you're dealing with limited resources.
Some people are just paralyzed by fear. They don't take action quickly enough because they don't know what the right step is. But that's, when you work with somebody that you trust, that's the whole idea, that what you don't know, what you have fears about, are explained to you, are provided to you in a way that you can make an informed decision.
Yes. And another thing that frustrates me is when clients go against the advice that you give them. Does that happen to you as well?
Certainly. And then they come and they want you to fix it immediately. So,
okay.
Which is, of course, harder to do. But it happens, yes. It happens often.
I see. So working with a good professional, it's important. Not waiting for the last minute. Do not act on impulse, and know your numbers is what I'm getting at. Those are things that can help you. Are there any other tips that you would have for a business owner or professional as they grow their wealth, or as they grow in their business, as things that they should keep in mind from that accounting side?
Yes, well, like we've mentioned, organization, have a good team of professionals, people that you trust, and the more organized that you are, the better work your professionals can do for you. So if your professional is willing to help you, you trust them, but you don't give them what they need for them to help you, you're back to square one. You haven't accomplished anything. So definitely organization is key.
I agree. That was fantastic. Lina. Thank you so much for being here. This is such a great topic of discussion, and there were so many things that we share and talk, but they were so important and relevant given today's environment. So
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. This concludes our episode. I hope you enjoyed it and got some informative and insight that can help you make better decisions financially. So as we like to say at Core Wealth Management, retirement and financial confidence starts here. Thank you.